Middle East to Europe and bring in staff writer for The Atlantic. Pulitzer Prize winning author Anne Applebaum. She attended last week's Munich Security Conference. I'm sorry, Anne, and is reflecting on the summit in her new piece titled, "No, It's Not Back to Business as Usual." And I say, I'm so sorry that you attended that summit, because it's been calamitous over the past few years. You had J.D. Vance last year sort of take a rhetorical blowtorch to all of our alliances in Europe. This year, Marco Rubio kind of tried to have it both ways, but then he went and gave a bear hug to the most autocratic leader in Central Europe immediately after that. So what is Europe taking away from this, and how is this different? I'm curious, how is this different than when Angela Merkel decided halfway through Donald Trump's first term, we've got to stop depending on the United States?
Well, we've got to stop depending on the United States is now not just something one or two people say. It's now a real conviction. It has economic implications. It has implications for European tech companies and defense companies. There's a complete shift in mindset about how they should operate. But I think, just to go back for a second, the message from the United States in the various different speeches that are given at Munich and elsewhere is now somewhat strange, because the message is to Europe, okay, we want you to rearm, we want you to be strong, we're not going to be there to help you, or maybe not, or maybe a little bit, maybe with some nuclear weapons if it's absolutely necessary, but you'll have to make a guess about that. And at the same time, exactly at the same time, the administration is supporting far-right politicians in Europe, sometimes with bear hugs, as you say, and sometimes with perhaps with money. They've said they will be supporting far-right think tanks and movements with State Department funding, and these movements are pro-Russian. They are opposed to defense spending. They are opposed to the European unity that is necessary for Europe to revive itself and revive its defense industries. And so people feel, well, which is it? I mean, they're telling us Americans are telling us they're leaving, but at the same time they're helping out the people who would prevent Europe from being strong. So I think there's a lot of doubt and suspicion about what U.S. policy really is.
And from reading your authoritative reporting and analysis from Europe and on this situation, it seems to me there may be a consensus among leadership in Europe that Europe really needs to be able to independently defend on itself. It can't defend itself. It can't depend on the United States the way it has for the last 8 decades. But there's also a gap between now and when Europe is able to do that conceivably. Is this really a matter of sort of playing for time? Europe is kind of stuck with under the perhaps leaky U.S. umbrella for a time, but can move toward independence, but is still trying to figure out how to move toward independence and a unified posture. How do you see this playing out?
So, look, nobody wants to break the alliance or say or do something that ends it, because, just below the surface, even below the level of politics, military relations between the United States and Europe are still excellent. There's still joint training exercises and operations. There are excellent intelligence relations. I mean, it's not as if everything is broken. But it's also the case that Europe has already moved on in ways that I think Americans haven't really acknowledged yet. The United States is no longer giving any real support to Ukraine. There's some intelligence support and there's some weapons sales, but the 99% of the weapons and the money that are going to Ukraine are coming from Europe now. And that was something that like 3 years ago seemed impossible. Nobody could imagine how that could be done. But we already have had huge changes in the European defense industries, and there's already a ramping up of what Europeans are capable of. And I would also also point out that 4 years ago, we're almost at the 4th anniversary of the war in Ukraine. Very few people thought the Ukrainians could defend themselves. And then 4 years later, it turns out they're still there. And actually, in the last couple of weeks, they've taken some territory back from Russia. I mean, it's still not that situation is not ended. But, when people are forced to change and when they're forced to alter their behavior and their spending and they're thinking about defense, and in the case of Europe, it's not just defense, it's defense, the economy, technology, tech investment, then you're going to see some changes maybe happening pretty fast.
All right. Pulitzer Prize winning author Anne Applebaum, thank you so much. Greatly appreciated as always. And Anne's latest piece is online now in The Atlantic. No, it's not back to business as usual. And